Welcome to My Generation podcast, brought to you by South Shore Senior News. I'm your host, Steve Dugan. South Shore Senior News is a newspaper and a multi-dimensional digital platform that provides useful information to seniors and the sandwich generation on a monthly and regular basis. And we have a twice monthly podcast. Today's guest is Brittney Callahan with Woodford Medicaid, and Brittney came to the business with an MBA working with her grandmother, Rae, and together they work out of Abington, Mass, but serve a wider swath of area. And welcome, Brittney.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here. I'm very excited to do this.
Well, thank you for joining me. First of all, why don't you give us an overview of what you do? Because to me, it's complex. To you, it's standard.
Yeah, so we help people, individuals and family members apply for Medicaid benefits, whether it be in the community or in a long-term care facility. We do the application process with them from start to finish. And we kind of explain to them what it's going to look like. We help them with gathering information that they need, with the spend down process, which we'll get into, I'm sure, later, which is complicated sometimes. So we're with our families from start to finish of the application process. And we really do. We call them our families more than our clients, because they mean a lot to us. Rae's been doing Medicaid applications for the last 35 years, and she definitely brings her passion to the company, and she's definitely teaching me to have her passion as well for it. So we really want to make sure that these people who need this coverage are able to get it in the most efficient and best way possible.
Okay. And so let me ask you, how long does the process usually take?
Anywhere from 3 to 9 months, depending on the complication of the application itself. We first put together the application. It's a 42-page application. We answer all of the questions with a family member or the individual themselves. We gather the necessary documents to send in an application to start with, and then usually about 2 to 3 weeks later, we get an information request with our caseworker, and we have 90 days to get all of that information back to the caseworker. So it can take anywhere from that full 90 days to only 60 days. It just depends on the caseworker and the, complication, like how complicated a case may be.
Okay. And the person who usually reaches out to you is anywhere from someone at the nursing home to an elder law attorney to, a caring child of someone in need?
Yeah, so we get our referrals from multiple different places. We get them from long-term care facilities like a nursing home. We've been in contact with a few assisted livings whose residents are running out of money and need to transition over to a nursing home. We get it from some elder law attorneys as well. Just a variety of places, and then individuals themselves. Rae's had a client, actually she's met with them a few times, but Rae did the application for her husband over 20 years ago, and her son found a bunch of Post-it notes in her house with Rae's name on it, just in case something happened to her and she needed an application too. So a lot of our business going backwards is from word of mouth and returning clients as well.
Okay. And then in terms of paying for the service, is that usually done sort of by the nursing home? Who covers? Is there like a standard fee that's covered somehow?
Yeah, so it depends. So to kind of get into the spend down a little bit, in order to be eligible for Mass Health, you have to be below $2,000 in all of your assets. So if someone does have a substantial amount of funds, we will take our fee from their spend down. Or if someone does not have funds and they come to us, sometimes the nursing home will pay for the application to be done.
Okay. All right. Very good. And so who generally does qualify for Medicaid and the application that you're developing?
So the biggest thing about doing the application and being qualified for the application, if you're looking for nursing home coverage, is to make sure that you're actually in a bed at a nursing home. Sometimes, we'll try to get coverage for someone who isn't in a nursing home yet, and they're pending admission, and the nursing home will want to see that approval. But you can't get the approval, unfortunately, until someone's in the nursing home. So that's the biggest thing. And then the other thing is, we always say, everyone eventually gets approved. It's just a matter of time, because we have to gather the documents that they ask for, usually bank statements, funeral contracts. Pretty much it's like a financial audit of everything that this person may own in their name. And then we have to get them below the 2,000. So ultimately, everyone is usually eligible. It just takes time.
Okay. And so some people get confused, including me, about some of these terms, right? Medicaid, Medicare, health insurance in general. How do you define each of those?
Yeah, so Medicaid is a state-run program, and it's specifically for long-term care or anything that would help for coverage for older people. So it's not just long-term care. People can get it in the community as well, and that is a separate set of regulations, which we also help with. Medicare is the national one that you get when you turn 65 and have Social Security, or if you're under 65 and disabled. And so Medicare covers hospital cost, regular doctor's appointments, stuff like that. And it does cover a certain amount of days at the nursing home, but eventually it does run out. And that's when you kind of have to convert someone from Medicare to Medicaid if they're staying long-term at a nursing home.
Okay. And so what happens in the time from when someone applies to maybe that longer term of getting accepted? How does payment get moved along?
So when you're applying for Mass Health and when you get approved for Mass Health, you have to pay a portion of your income to the nursing home every month. And that is a calculation we do. We just basically take the total of all of your gross incomes, subtracted from the allowances that Mass Health gives to people. And then if you pay for private health insurance, like a Medicare supplement, and that gives you the number of the PPA. It's called PPA for short, patient paid amount. And that's what you'll be paying during the time the application is going through, and beyond that as well, after the approval, for as long as you're in the nursing home. So the nursing homes understand that you're applying for Medicaid, and as long as you're paying for the PPA, you would be considered Medicaid pending while the application was in process.
Okay. And what if you have a spouse at home?
So a spouse at home is a little bit different. So you get more than the 2,000. So if you have a spouse at home, the spousal limit is 148,000, which means a spouse can keep 146,000. I want to check myself on that a little bit. It might be a little bit more. It's somewhere in between. So 146,000 about, and then whichever spouse is in the nursing home, the one that's applying for Medicaid, anything in their name has to be below 2,000. So the spouse is eligible to keep up to 146,000, give or take.
All right. And when does Mass Health take control of income or bank accounts and other assets? Yeah,
so Mass Health doesn't necessarily take control. I feel like that is a pretty common misconception when it comes to Medicaid. The state doesn't take control of your bank accounts. They don't take control of your income. They do put regulations on it, and they do require you to pay the nursing home that portion of your income through the PPA. And they do require your bank accounts to be below 2,000, but you don't have to hand over your assets. Or control of your bank account. You still have your name on it, you still have your debit card, and you can still use it for things that you need monthly with the allowance that Mass Health gives you.
And what if you choose to try to stay at home and utilize Medicaid?
So in order to be eligible, so the the Medicaid in the community is through the Frail Elder Program. And in order to be eligible for that, you also have to be below that limit, that $2,000 limit. And you also have to have less than, I believe it's about $2,700 in income every month. So if you make more than $2,700 in income, you wouldn't be eligible for Frail Elder. So that is more of a income-based need program. And then you also get a medical waiver through the senior services, whether it be Old Colony or South Shore, wherever you are. And they will come in and just make sure you're medically eligible for it as well.
Okay. And can you elaborate a little bit more about the kind of facilities that accept Medicaid?
Yeah, most nursing homes accept Medicaid. Assisted livings do not. So primarily it's nursing homes. Some hospice homes, I believe, sometimes take it, depends on medical criteria. I think you have to have a certain level of need to be able to be eligible for that at a hospice home. But mostly it's nursing homes specifically.
Okay. And what would make somebody ineligible? Is it purely economic?
Mostly, yes. So if someone, like I said, everyone eventually gets approved. It just is a matter of time. For someone to be completely ineligible for Mass Health, what happens usually is if we have a family member that comes to us, they give us some information, and then halfway through the process, they just throw their hands up in the air and stop working with us, and we aren't able to get what we need to give to Mass Health. Because even though we kind of guide and facilitate the application process and we try to do as much as we can to help the family, we still need the family members involved. It's kind of like a teamwork effort, because I'm not on someone's bank account that I met down the street, you know. So we need some teamwork. It's a team effort to get these applications approved. So that's one way. And another way is, and this is very important, if you had given away funds, then that would make you ineligible, depending on how much you gave away within 5 years. So let's say, it's 2023. If you gave away assets in 2019, if you sold a house and gave all the proceeds to your cousin, then you would probably be ineligible. But if you did that in 2004, they can't ask for that, those bank statements all the way back to then.
So there's a 5-year look back.
There is a 5-year look back, correct.
Okay. And if someone wanted to engage you, what is sort of a punch list of items that they should start thinking about gathering so that you can work together more efficiently?
Yep. So we always ask for 3 to 4 months worth of bank statements going backwards from the date that you need coverage. So, in August, we would ask to go back to May. And then we'd also ask for any current income stubs that you may have. If you have a supplement health insurance, we would need like a bill and a card for that. Anything like a trust, if anyone has any trusts, we need the full trust document. Let's see, what else would there be?
That's a good start.
Yeah,
That's
I lost my train of thought there.
Scurrying about their house
Yes.
gathering things.
So basically, the most important things are the bank statements, the income, and a funeral contract if you have one. The way our appointments are set up is usually we do a phone appointment first to kind of go over those questions, because it is basically like a financial audit on the people who are applying. So we go through the questions. And we go over exactly what each case needs, because each case is a little bit different. And then once you've gathered enough of that information to start, you call us back and we make an appointment in person, or through Zoom or anything like that. And we do the application together with the documents that you gave us. You sign it and then we send it in.
Okay. And so you mentioned that you're happy to meet with folks any way they're comfortable. It sounds like phone, Zoom, or in person.
Yes. So Rae does a lot of this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go right ahead.
Rae does a lot of the in-person office meetings. I do them as well. I also go out on the road and go meet people either at their homes, because sometimes we have spouses who don't drive. that are in the community still. So I'll meet people at their homes, or I'll meet them at the nursing home that they're at. And I also do primarily work through email as well. So if anyone just emails us documents and such, we have, drop boxes set up to do that as well.
Okay. And then the scope of your work, does it go beyond Massachusetts?
So we don't typically do anywhere else. There's been a few times where Rae has kind of worked it out with a family and they've just kind of worked together. But because Medicaid is a state-run program, all of the regulations in every state is a little bit different. So, our primary focus is in Massachusetts because, we know all of the laws and regulations there. But we have had people who have moved from one state to Massachusetts from one nursing home, and we've had a couple in New York and Florida and Vermont who've moved from one of those states to Massachusetts. And what needs to happen is the Medicaid that they have in the state that they start off as needs to be terminated before they can get Massachusetts Medicaid. So we do work that way.
Okay. All right. I think we've covered it. One last question is, when do you recommend somebody, at what sort of life milestone do you recommend that they first engage you?
So we actually have a couple different businesses that work with us as well. There's Woodford and Fraser Law that is connected with us, and they do a lot of our estate planning and everything. And I believe they say around 65 is when people should start coming in and doing their estate planning, because that kind of helps with that 5-year look back. So if you need trusts, or you have extra assets and you're getting close to 65, I would definitely recommend to start that estate plan and that Medicaid plan. But I would say for the common, like someone who isn't necessarily looking for estate planning and something happens to them, it's kind of unpredictable. But I would say around 65 is when you should probably start keeping all of the income statements that you're getting and working on getting that estate planning going. Okay,
great. And so that sort of, I think, concludes our conversation. But I do want to make sure people have an easy access to you. What's the best way to find you and reach you?
So our website is Woodford, which is WOODFORD, Medicaid, MEDICAID.com. And we have a form that you can fill in and it will go directly to my email. Or you can always call the office. Our phone number is on our website, but it is also 781-982-6093. And you can press either option 2 for Rae or option 5 for Brittney.
Okay. And let's see. Well, thank you.
Yes.
We got a lot of information in
Oh yes, there's a lot of information, and it's very it can be overwhelming for a lot of people, and that's why I think Rae and I have a lot of passion in what we do and helping our families, because it's an added stress that these caregiver children and whoever else is helping that person out, it's nice to be able to take that off of them, and kind of go back to your question of when people should start planning for this. We always say sooner the better, because you don't want to be stuck with something that happened, like you gave $10,000 to your grandchild's wedding and then you can't get Medicaid, and it's just, the sooner definitely is better.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brittney. It's been a pleasure. I thank you for informing me and our audience. I encourage our audience to let me know if they feel that they have someone similar to Brittney who can offer a lot of useful information to seniors and their sandwich generation helpers. Contact us at South Shore Senior News. And thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time as well.
Take care.
Thanks, you too.